Who Put This On, Season 6, Episode 50, where we watched My American Gypsy Wedding. And we watched Season 1, Episode 6. And this is where we find the weirdest tanning beds you've ever seen. Brian?
Heath, please seal this with a kiss, and please make it good. This is Brian.
And we got two guest hosts today. They're sisters. We got Catherine and Christina. Got
Whoop, whoop. Hello.
first time, long time, Catherine.
That's right.
Christina was on Selling Tampa, her spinoff of one of her favorite shows. Last week, we watched Snowflake Mountain. We put up a poll on Twitter at Who Put This On, and we let you guys rate the show as well. We got a middle third show from the audience. So if you want to tell us what you thought about this show, you can find us on Twitter at Who Put This On, and you can rate this episode.
Ooh, remember
What?
at the end, I got an update.
Oh, you have an update? Okay. All right. Brian, what? So if this is your first time listening, though, we watch a different reality show each week, discussing it in minute detail, figuring out if it's good or bad. Brian, what show did we watch this week?
This week we watched My Big Fat American Gypsy Wedding. Piggybacking off a popular British documentary series that tells of the gypsy culture in the UK, TLC goes inside the heretofore hidden world of American gypsies, using their extravagant wedding celebrations to reveal a group of people who live alongside but free from mainstream society, guided by century-old religious and cultural traditions. Though secretive and based on long-held values, the gypsy lifestyle is anything but discreet. In fact, it's a wash of modern-day influences, resulting in wedding, holy communion, and birthday bashes that are large, loud, and lavish. I'm gonna stop there.
You got to keep going. That's not the full thing.
The series includes appearances by dressmaker Sandra Celli, who is seen designing elaborate gowns for a wedding and other milestones.
Is this from Wikipedia?
No, that's IMDb.
Okay. All right. Okay, we're good. So this is a weird show where we follow. Is it just? So Catherine has seen a lot of this show.
I have seen more than I should admit to having seen, yes.
So it seems like it's about this family, right?
I mean,
A lot of the
I can't
episodes.
imagine that there are that many living in the U.S. to have... Weren't there like 6 seasons of this?
Yeah, 2012 to 2018. The
So
show
I think
is.
they have to have featured like every family. Every
I
Romney
don't
family.
know.
So
we're
it's a lot of the same people.
Okay, yeah. So we're following this family where the Nettie is the mom, and she has a son named Heath.
She has 9 children.
Well, we're talking about Heath.
Okay.
Heath is going to try. He just got out of jail, and he's trying to marry Alyssa. And apparently, Nettie doesn't want this marriage to happen. Neither does Alyssa's mom.
But
So
can we talk about Nettie's only 37? 9 kids, 37. Okay,
yeah,
keep
we'll
going.
we'll get back to that.
We
So
can't
the
get over that
show
part of it.
is essentially the drama around these two people getting married, and it kind of goes all over the place. It's an off the rails, and it's pretty entertaining. I'd encourage you to go watch it and figure out what's going on with the show. But yes, we could talk about Nellie. Is 37, has
Nettie.
9. Nellie. Nellie, the rapper, 37, has 9 kids. But yes, Nettie. Is she 39 and has 7? So in the show, they said that she had 7 kids.
I think 7 were living with her, but she had
Oh.
9, or he was 7 of her, like the 7th of her 9th child. I don't know.
I wrote down 9 kids.
Yeah, and she's
Okay.
37. But I think Heath was her oldest, right? At 20.
I mean, the
I'm-
math works.
Yeah, but then she also has like sisters living there, and
Yeah.
I mean-
the aunt is there and looks like really young.
yeah,
She looks like one of the kids.
I'm sure she's in the order somewhere. Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, there are a
Melly.
lot of kids. Melly.
Yeah, Melly.
And so they spin off, since they're very entertaining. They spin off later, and
So-
there's like a whole series just on them.
Nettie and Melly
I think they have another sister.
are the stars of Gypsy Sisters.
Yes.
Which ran for 4 seasons, it looked like. And apparently, Nettie, one of her sons, passed away at some point. And that's why, and she steps away from the public life. there's the current to date Nettie situation.
That's the update.
Yeah, she is a grandmother, which doesn't shock anyone. To be clear, I think Melly also is.
A grandmother?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
So they're both grandmothers, and they're someone's selling stuff on Instagram, and somebody's just living their life. So there you go. So we find out we get to meet Heath, and Heath's like, yeah, I just got out of jail. I'm a ladies' man. I'm out at the clubs, and he gets in this tanning bed. He's really channeling the Jersey Shore right now. He's GTLing, or he's TLing, or maybe he's just T'ing. I don't know. We only saw the
need to
T'ing.
talk more
Well,
about
no,
the
he wouldn't
tanning
be
bed,
Elling.
though.
Remember, the men don't do any laundry or chores.
Oh yeah, so they're not
So
Elling.
He would only be teeing.
Well, he could be G'ing,
Possibly.
but we didn't see anything like that. But we did see this tanning bed.
In a child's bedroom.
I was gonna say, I thought it was next to a child's bed.
Oh, it definitely was. And there was a kid on the bed, so there's
and
no
you
mystery
don't go
here.
into a tanning bed with clothing on, so that just feels wrong.
No. Plus, what's being emitted? Like some sort of harmful UV rays that are just bouncing around that room.
Well, I mean, if they're not in the room, I don't see a problem with this. Even if they're in the room, unless you're tanning a lot, like.
It's. I mean,
You don't want to see the other people naked as they come in and out of this tanning bed. But yeah, it's not the right place for a tanning bed. But assuming if you have 7 or 9 kids living in that house, you don't have a whole lot of room for a tanning bed.
it's fair.
Like
I
at
mean, you got to
all.
put it somewhere.
Yeah, not his room.
Of course.
Did he have a room?
Yeah, because he and Alyssa were in the room.
But
That
that
was
wasn't
the
at
first drama.
that wasn't at their house. I think.
Yeah, they lived there.
Because later, Nettie packs up all her stuff in that other room.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But I don't think it would have fit a tanning bed. So. it had
Well,
to
if
go
they
in the
got a
kids' room.
smaller bed, they just use the tanning bed as a bed.
Problem
good to
solved.
go. If you
That is
need
gonna be the worst sleep of your life.
But
Just somebody on top of you, and you're just on this tanning.
I don't know.
You'd never be cold, though.
I mean, I
never
wouldn't
wake up.
suggest sleeping with it on, but
It's a little nightlight.
maybe if they had like a lower setting, you could have it on like regular Sunday, your regular light. Anyway, so let me get this straight. They're living in this room, and then Alyssa spreads rumors about Nettie and kicks them out.
Yes.
Because at first, Nettie was all excited that they were getting married. Like, she liked the future daughter-in-law. She said they
Yeah.
can stay here as long as they want. And then something happened that they don't show on camera, and all of a sudden, Nettie's packing up her stuff and calling her evil. So,
Yeah, she said something about rumors.
Yeah.
She started spreading rumors that she was sleeping with a bunch of people.
Okay.
She'd only slept with a number of people on one hand, is what Nettie claimed.
Okay, I think I might have been deep in internet corner when this happened because I was like, at
it
some point,
happened real quick, and then it was like Nettie never looked back. She was
yeah.
nothing good about Alyssa.
One thing about Alyssa is that she has a son already that's disabled and lives with her mom. And I was very confused about this relationship. Like, Alyssa, if the person taking care of your child is like threatening you and says, don't marry this guy, like your first instinct is to marry this guy? Brian, does it make sense to you?
No. Well, like, I don't. It wasn't her mom that was threatening her, was it? Like, I thought it was Nettie, but like, it's still wild.
That's why I was so confused at the beginning of this thing, because I was like, is that Nettie taking care of the baby? Is it somebody else
No.
taking care of the baby?
Did we ever see Alyssa's mom?
No, I don't
We
think she
just-
wanted to be on camera. Yeah, we heard
No.
her.
We just heard her, and then we heard that she did not like Heath and did not approve of the marriage, but we never saw
And that's
her.
why Alyssa wasn't living at her house, because normally she'd be living at home till she got married.
Yeah, there was also this thing where, like, if gypsies run away together, then they come back, they're considered married, but then they go through this. So I was like, did they run away together? And then he got put in jail and she had to come home. Like, what is this whole, like, there's like the relationships never really put into place that I'd understood.
No, it was real quick. I don't know, but because it sounded like they met after he got out of jail. I thought.
I don't know.
But I don't
It was
know.
very
They didn't go
unclear.
into it.
I couldn't believe that's a thing because they're like, let's get married, and like I'm like, oh, so you're the father of the baby, and like let's just like because they ran away together. She had the kid. He's in jail. Like, okay, it's time to get married, right? Does that make sense?
I don't think he's the baby
Yeah,
daddy.
I don't think he's the father of the child.
I mean, I'm sure they would have brought it up on the show, but that's what I thought.
Sure,
they,
that would have made sense.
because they teed it up like, oh, he's just out of jail. Then they mentioned like they run away and come back, and then they get married. Like they're considered married, but then there's this marriage ceremony. And I'm just like, okay, we got the story, but then they never bring that up again. So
No.
I have to assume that they just talking out their ass.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of these episodes, as will likely come to no shock, it's like they have very strange roads to the altar. Like every girl's goal is to get married, and it's like they all sort of come to fruition like this one did, where it's here, there, and then all of a sudden we're getting married.
There's a lot of random stuff happening. Like, so the big part of the show, which we could talk about, is like Alyssa goes to Sandra Chell.
Sandra Celli.
Chili? Is that how you say that? She is the dressmaker. So she apparently makes like a lot of gypsy dresses. And we get to see Alyssa in this giant gypsy dress. It's very big. Christina, can you tell us how big this dress was?
She couldn't even make it through a doorway without like scrunching it up. Like it was.
She needed help to do pretty much anything.
Yeah, like she probably could have extended her arms and it would have been wider than that.
Yeah.
It was huge.
It was big.
And it's not only was it big, it was blinged out. Lots of jewels on this thing.
600 yards of tulle.
What is a tool?
Tulle is that white, usually white like
It's kind of like what a veil is made of.
Yeah.
Like see-through.
it's got like the little holes in it, and you can
Okay.
like tutus are made of tulle.
Okay. Today I learned. No
There you
idea. Yeah. They claimed it was 60,000 jewels. At least that's what I heard. You can fact check me on that. It might have been 30,000. But I don't even understand where those jewels were. If they didn't see any jewels, really.
I don't. I mean, there's like the head thing, the crown thing, which had a lot of bling, and then the
bodice.
The bodice had a lot, and I think there were different layers to that. I mean, I think this dressmaker, like, all she makes are these gypsy things because she's on every single episode, and everyone has to go to Boston. Where are they from? Like,
They
West
live
Virginia?
in Martinsburg, West Virginia.
so like. They all, I mean, it's not an easy trip, I wouldn't think, to get up there with all your bridesmaids. And
Yeah, I think what's happening here is that Sandra is like cued in with the producers, and they're like, okay, Sandra, you're going to make these dresses. It's probably for free to be on the show. And then, like, that's going to kick her business up a lot. That's why she gets this dress, because this dress is like way outside their budget.
Oh,
which
yeah.
is their
They have
budget
no
is
budget.
nothing.
Yeah.
Their budget's nothing. So it's way outside their budget. But like, Sandra's gets some nice advertising here.
yeah,
So
and
like
every subsequent wedding has to have a bigger and crazier dress. So like some of these dresses, spoiler alert, will like light up. Like there's LED lights in the skirt. Some, they're all huge. Some are different colors. And then like they have head components. I mean, it's just crazy what these dresses
And how
look
much
like.
do they cost?
Did you look it up, Brian?
I thought you said that like they might have been like, so there was one that was like 1,500 and then it was dropped from like 30,000.
Yeah, so I guess nowadays you can buy them on Poshmark, and the original price was $35,000,
Ooh.
and it was on there for $1,500. But yeah, I found one article. It said it was in 2012 was the article, which I think is when this episode was filmed, and they said they ran between $8,500 and $40,000 per dress. Which, like you said, there's no way they could afford it.
any of those.
No.
I've
The
already
base one
purchased
they couldn't
5. Don't worry.
On her website, she has a slogan or a tagline, and it's it don't mean a thing if it ain't got that bling.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, this is the person that's making these dresses.
Yes.
As you know, and the bridesmaids had some like snazzy, slutty dresses to go along with this, which I also thought this dress, for how big it was, also seemed kind of slutty. Like she's got those big boobs out there, which were fake, which was a really funny
That they
scene.
grab from the boob bucket.
Yeah, there's like all the these 18-year-olds go to this like boob bucket and pull out all these fake boobs to put on their dresses, and I thought that was a highlight.
And
for
they all
me.
wanted bigger.
Biggest. Well, and yeah, because they say like those that are unmarried. Again, this is dipping into my knowledge of past episodes. Like, if you're unmarried, going to these weddings is the place that everyone comes together, and that's the best place to meet your future spouse.
Yeah,
So they all
on
wanna
the
look
dance
good.
floor.
Right.
Because they did show some dancing, which was unclear where that was, and it looked like there were 4 people there.
It was probably they do like big weddings and christenings. And did they say sweet 16s?
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's probably like it was one of those.
Okay, so Sandra said something that I thought was really messed up. Like, with regards to, like, the boob situation. They're still developing, but we can work with that. We can make her look like a woman.
And she's 20.
I think she
No,
was
she was
18.
18. Sorry.
He was 20, but
Okay. Yeah, so that's what we're talking about. That's weird. That's a weird thing to say.
Yeah.
So while this is happening, we see Heath, and he's like, I got to go out and make money for this wedding. And they show him go buy a truck. Like, what do you mean you're going out and earn money for the wedding? You just spent money that you did
you got to spend
needed
money
for
to
the
make
wedding.
money.
Yeah,
Rule
he needed
number
it
one.
for his asphalt business.
Yeah. So apparently, the family business here is paving. So he
Apparently
borrowed.
all Romneys, right?
I
That's
guess
what they
so.
do.
That's what, yeah, some form of manual labor, but specifically driveway paving. Which it kind of just looked like he was spraying stuff. I don't know anything
He was
about paving.
He was sealing their pavement. So
Okay,
like,
so he did
if there was,
something
like,
before
some-
that?
probably not.
Just
like-
sealed it?
Yeah, I mean, there's just like there's things that you can manage and upkeep that you could probably pitch to somebody like, oh, you got some cracks, let me seal it so it doesn't get worse. So like when you're in a normal climate and it rains and then like it gets cold and freezes, like cracks get a lot bigger really quickly. So there's just stuff you could do that he was doing. So he had like he went to somebody's house and pitched them some sort of weird job, which he did for the show, I'm sure.
Right,
Well,
because
like,
it
he
was
wouldn't-
funny that the one thing in his trunk of a car took up like, it was like a 2x2 foot area that he definitely didn't need a truck to haul around.
He needs a truck though.
But,
To haul the camper.
oh,
Yeah.
well, that's true. It does come in handy later.
This is just a hell of a grift from Netflix to get them to do, like, repave their driveways for the show.
You mean TLC?
Yeah, this is just
Oh,
TLC.
TLC's, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm so used for, like, us to be on Netflix for this.
Oh yeah, Netflix. Yeah, you might be in jail at this moment. You're not doing great. So, that was kind of an interesting storyline. Then she comes back. What else happens in this episode? I know they go look at campers at some point.
Well, that's when they get kicked out of the house. I think right after he goes to work, they show the scene of Nettie all of a sudden flipping and saying like, no, she's got to get out of the house, packing up their stuff. And then Melly's just sitting there like soaking it all in.
Yeah, that's when I wrote a note about Melly, but I didn't write a note about any of that, which would have been useful for my experience for this episode. Yeah, so then they kicked out, and then they moved to a motel, essentially.
Yep.
Yeah.
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 And then I think they really just went to look at campers.
Yeah, so they filmed
And
this segment
that was
for
kind
the
of sad because she got all excited and then they never really said, and then he bought it and they have a place to live.
No, yeah. I mean, it was very clear to me that they were not buying these things because they had no money. This dude just got out of jail, and that both parents are like, F off. This is a bad idea. And who's going to buy this thing? They ain't.
No.
No.
But then TLC got that sweet advertising money.
From the used camper.
Yeah.
West
Lot.
Virginia.
I don't know. I think they just did it for free. It was a let me film here. You get some TV time, and then that's it.
I want to believe that he paid for this.
Like, you think this production company is gonna be calling around all these RV lots and be like, used RV lots in West Virginia?
I only saw 2 RVs too. It wasn't like I think some guy just had 2 on his property, and
I don't think the show's budget was very high. But you're right. They could be, because they could have called up Sandra and be like, hey, we got this new show. You want to be on it for free. You could pay us to be on the show, maybe. Maybe that's a grift that they were going for.
Maybe.
she really does come out looking like, I mean, she's sort of the one sane person that like carries through all these episodes because, you know, she's in Boston. She like seems like a normal person. And so I think when you're looking at this, she does get some good advertising out of it.
Yeah.
If you wanted a huge dress.
Definitely. She's making dresses like here for advertisement. Let's be clear.
Yeah.
After this, we figure out there's somebody named Nookie and Pookie, which is a very interesting name.
I have not figured out who they are.
They were
Were they a couple?
Yeah, so they were
second cousins.
They were the couple at the actual courthouse wedding. So there was like the guy, the only other guy that was there really with his like shirt pretty much unbuttoned. That was Nookie or Pookie, unclear.
And he walked her down the aisle then, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they were Alyssa's second cousins, I believe, is what it said.
And then like she came with a woman, and that was the Nookie or Pookie.
Okay.
And so I'm sure that's just kind of their like couple name, Nookie and Pookie, but I don't know. It's very interesting names that you had to write down.
Yeah. And then at one point, like mid-episode, they had already talked about the whole wedding, and then he proposed.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And
He brought the ring out, and everyone acted like, "Oh, love it, blah blah blah, love it."
Well, yeah, because she was ready, like, after that day. I forget what had happened. Someone called her, and
Was
she
it
was like,
mother-in-law?
forget this. I don't need this. I don't want to even get married. I just want to go home. And then she goes to a coffee shop, and he proposes, and then it's, like, the best day of her life, and they're definitely getting married.
Yeah, seems like a solid mental 18-year-old that knows exactly what she's doing.
Yep.
Which we'll get into that. There's also a segment where they were like looking for a venue. They were like, "Oh, this is gonna
So
be
sad.
like." They were talking about like her dream wedding, and then she was looking at a venue. They must have filmed looking at venues, and it was we had like literally like 30-second scene maybe at one place, and they must have had to scrap like all of it.
It
like,
was really confusing. I think they really just took her there. Like, if you didn't have, maybe, I mean, I hope TLC wasn't like, hey, where would you have your wedding? And like, she thought they were going to pay for it. And she's like, oh, I'd have it in the summer and there would be full of pianos. Did you say something about
Yeah.
pianos?
she's a lot of candles.
Oh,
is what-
candles.
yeah,
Okay,
I was like-
candles.
I was
That
like,
makes
she
more
might have
sense
said
than
pianos, but she definitely said candles at some point.
And then her cousin was like, oh, well, that would be beautiful. And then it was like, cut to the courthouse. And I forget, there was something else
Yeah, so
she
they
didn't have
she talked about wanting to get married. All she wanted was to get married in the church, but the courthouse
with her
will
parents
do.
there.
Yeah.
And yeah.
so many sacrifices made for this wedding, and whatever, probably the show. So she gets dressed. Everyone's ready. Everyone's heading to the courthouse. So what's his name is there? Heath is there, and Alyssa is going. She gets dressed, and they're like in the car to go to the courthouse.
That poor taxi cab driver.
and
She shoved herself into that taxi.
And
He's
it
a
looks
fucking hero.
it looks like Heath got like the marriage certificate and looked on it and was like, I need your social security number to fill out this form so we can get married. And then that's when Alyssa realized, I need to get my social security card from my parents' house. So there's this whole thing of
Because
her.
I do not know the number. I
Yeah,
don't think she even needed the card.
No, she just needed the
did not
number.
Know the number.
Brian, can you tell us what the police officer told her, where he told her
Sorry for a second there.
I might be jumping ahead. Do we need
No,
to
that's fine.
discuss?
No. So the police told her you can get your social security number by calling your doctor's office. Like, no, they don't have that. Like,
Well,
they're not going to
technically-
tell you that.
Well, I'm pretty sure they do have that. That is definitely part of the paperwork.
I don't think
usually.
you.
Especially
I don't
back
think
in
the
the day.
receptionist can just pull it
No,
up.
Yeah.
they
No.
definitely cannot tell you it over the phone.
And it probably was like a Saturday. I mean, one would hope they were getting married on like a weekend.
Yeah, it was very weird because the announcer says this, which we'll get in the announcer later. But the announcer just says like the cops told her she can get it from her doctor's office, which like resolves our storyline, but like is 100% false. And
For sure, the woman just wanted her off the phone. She was like,
Well,
we're
I-
not going to send the cops to your house for this reason."
yeah, but I'm just saying it resolves the storyline of like where'd she get her social security number in I think a false way. And I don't know if it was ever really resolved.
No, I mean,
Maybe they
they're-
never really
yeah, I
got
was
married.
gonna say they probably well, we know the update later. Like, but I would say like it probably didn't even happen because I don't think she would have gotten her social security number on the drive then to the courthouse.
Well, yeah, I mean, they'll be like, we'll come back later with the social security number. or
Right,
whatever.
We
make it
need to
legal.
look up marriage certificates in West Virginia, see if
Wait,
it
what-
actually happened.
Okay, Brian, get on that.
Let me tell you something. I tried looking at like government document databases. Never again.
Yeah, they're not the easiest thing to use. So they end this like she goes to her parents' house and like literally rolls up to the house and be like, "Yo, bitch, give me the card."
And her mom's like, I ripped that up and threw it in the
Well,
trash.
no, first she sent her poor cousin Diamond in. Remember, she was
yeah.
like,
Yeah,
I don't think she wanted
'cause-
to get out of the taxi in that
Diamond, the
dress.
hero of
She
the
really
show.
was.
Because
Yeah.
Alyssa is like, "Hey, like I'm not going in there. She's not going to let me in there to get this card. So you got to go in there and get it."
I think it was also logistics. Like, she couldn't get
No,
herself
I
with
mean-
that dress out of the
Do you
taxi.
think was Diamond in the front seat? Because whoever was behind her was not getting out either.
No, that was also another wild thing. I thought like, why wouldn't Diamond just go in the front seat and then just got in next to her?
Cameraman must have taken the
Camera
front
had to
seat.
take
Oh,
the
you're
front
right.
seat.
Oh,
So there were like, were all three bridesmaids in that taxi?
oh yeah.
There were at least two
Jeez.
in the back seat. There could have been a third. Maybe they went out the trunk.
Maybe.
It's possible. I don't know. But this was an amusing scene.
But yeah, poor Diamond got kicked out of there in like 2 seconds, and then Alyssa was peeved and like got out of the car and had to deal with it herself.
Yeah, and she was calling the Muskies,
Yeah.
which we learn is
Cops.
The
cops-
Muskers.
The Muskers for like Gypsy for cop or I hesitate to call these people gypsies because they're gypsy society, but it's not like
These are
all-
the Rom Nichelles.
Romnishels. Okay,
Does anybody know why it's called Muskers?
internet corner that, and then you can come back to the answer.
All right.
Yeah. So then she gets to this courthouse. There's also the scene about like
Really late.
Heath calls her and says, "You got to get here because the priest is leaving." But she gets there. Then Nookie / or Pookie walks her down the aisle, and like Heath gives her like this look, like she better be looking gorgeous. And all the groomsmen look like they're from Jersey Shore. And
Deep V's.
there's like they do the ceremony, but there's an important person is here. Brian, who is here? Millie
Oh.
is here.
I was like scrolling to the end of it. Like, yeah, it was Millie.
Millie is here, and she is not approve of this wedding after the rumors Alyssa was spreading.
How many people actually approved this wedding?
The two, like
The friends seemed
Diamond,
Diamond was all in.
Yeah.
a
the
bridesmaid,
blurred out
She-
bridesmaid.
Danielle, who they didn't like bleep the name. So if anyone over there knew her, it was for sure Danielle with the blurred out face. But
yeah. And then there's another bridesmaid.
Yeah, she didn't really get much
Was
airtime.
that Pookie?
I don't think Pookie wasn't in
No,
the
I
wedding.
don't think so. She was dressed similarly, but I don't think she was a bridesmaid.
And then Nookie seemed to be,
Yeah. But none of the parents were there. No
Nope.
one over the age of, 25 appeared to
There's
be.
not really a big age discrepancy between. We don't know how old Millie was, the aunt,
Yeah, but I think she was probably the oldest person in attendance.
besides the pastor.
Right.
Yeah. So the ceremony goes through, and then Millie goes outside because Diamond kicks her out or something, and then
No.
Diamond had heard Millie talking just like side comments the whole
Yeah.
ceremony. And it was like, if she says anything to me, that's it. Like, she was sort of primed and ready to go.
So I forget why Diamond went outside first, but then Millie came out for a smoke.
and then Millie and Diamond get into like this verbal confrontation about this wedding, and then
And we all think, because they've been, like, every commercial break, they're hyping this fight, right? So I mean, I don't know if, like, you guys, but I assume Millie for sure started it, like, through a punch.
yeah.
Yep.
And that is incorrect. Diamond pushes her into this brick wall at the courthouse.
Corner of a brick wall.
And like they're really scrapping. This is a real fight. This is real women like fighting each other about this wedding.
And two women who knew how to fight. They have definitely been in fights before.
Yeah, it seems like this
Yes.
what is it?
Rom Nichelle.
Romnichelle.
Romneys. That's what they call themselves.
Yeah, Romneys are they're in. They know how to fight. You don't get in a scrap with them.
No.
I don't think I've ever seen another reality show that had a fight like that. Like that was legit fighting, like
There
UFC
There was
style.
blood. Well, this I think was okay. So this was 2012. So this was before, like, Real Housewives. Now, if two people get close to each other, they're like producers jumping in because I think of legal reasons. But back then, I mean, we saw like the camera people were like running outside. They were in the frame to get the shot. Like this was amateur hour. So I think they were like, this is great TV. Like we're not afraid of getting sued.
This is bum fights. Here we go.
I mean, and then at one point, Diamond's whole top was off. Like, it was already the slutty bridesmaid dress. And it was like, I don't know if it was ripped or just completely
I
pulled
think
down.
it was strapless, so it just like
And then, like, also,
Melly-
Millie's ass was out.
Yeah,
There's a lot of
there's a lot of blurring going on in this fight.
they spent all their budget on the blur.
the blur. And then the muskers are called.
Yes.
And, the bridal party's just booked it out of there.
They're like, we gotta go. The muskers are coming.
But in like a real obvious, like huge red pickup truck. So I mean, I think the police just didn't even want to bother.
Yeah. But then there is a shot of Melly getting interviewed for the cops, like by the cops on the show. Like
Yeah.
they were filming, like from the cops' perspective, interviewing her about like, do you want to press charges? She's like, nah.
her exact quote was, I don't believe in charges.
She's like, it's my cousin or my family.
Yeah. But like, I think both of them also got some like headshots in. It was a serious.
They were. I
I don't know if anyone
was-
really won or lost this fight.
Melly was like bleeding from her mouth.
Uh,
one-
but
Diamond's face
Diamond
was
had her
all-
and her knee. Someone's knee was. I mean,
Yeah, there's a lot. Diamond had a lot more scrapes, I think.
yeah. Well, then because Melly came back for something and they went at it again.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah, there was round two.
And then that's when like the bystanders walked up and they were just like,
Oh yeah, there's this guy wearing a the ballpark Franks T-shirt, and they like the production crew interviews this guy afterwards, and they show it on the show. Just be like, "This is nuts. This is like TMZ. People just like fight in front of the courthouse."
There was one quote from this guy, and I don't know if he was intentionally throwing shade or not, but it has a lot behind it. And he said, "I want to come to the next one."
Yeah.
Oh.
So after this, we see the two of them just go to their motel room.
because the
I mean, the wedding did
reception
take-
was canceled, which we all figured there was no reception planned.
Yeah.
Like,
No.
Well, the reception was at the local bar. The local bar wouldn't let the camera people in.
or a bloodied bridesmaid. They were probably like,
Yeah, one or the other. Then they close the shades. Show's over. And then on the internet, we find out their wedding lasts a month and a half, which doesn't surprise anyone that has watched this episode at all.
no.
I mean, I think I would have put at
Yeah.
least 3 months.
Like you would have guessed maybe at the wedding, but like you're not surprised that it like
Absolutely
if
not.
you wouldn't have been surprised if this thing didn't last a day.
Because they didn't have a place to live. They didn't have any money. And
He had a
no
truck,
one
though.
they had a truck, and they knew which camper they were going to buy. But
I'm still not convinced it was actually a legitimate wedding or marriage.
You might be right.
possibly, yeah.
I was doing some Googling, and there's an episode 2. It was like about a 14-year-old trying to get married, and she came out in like 2018 saying that like, hey, they like producers were like, you should do this, like, and pushed her to do it, and it wasn't a real marriage or something.
She
So,
got married in that episode.
I don't remember exactly if I don't remember the full quote. Maybe I should have kept it up, but it seemed like the show might not be too much of the real side of things, but who knows? Who's going to get in this giant fight for like over a sham wedding?
Yeah, I mean, it's high drama. It seems like all the time, and I mean, you don't get the sense. I don't get the sense that the women work outside of the home, and so I feel like a lot of it is like, well, they're just gonna be all in each other's business, try to find a husband, and then like, oh, didn't they say that at one point? The reason I think Alyssa was saying, the reason that Romney girls want to get married so quickly is to escape their parents.
Oh yeah,
You
You
because
remember that part?
Yeah.
Because if you're living under your parents' roof, like there are rules.
You have to do, yeah. So, I mean, some TV producer was like, well, this seems like there could be some interesting
Well,
episodes
it's
behind it.
like all your friends are getting married, and you're horny, and you're like, well, the only way this can be solved is either I run away, which is probably something. It seemed like that was something that they talked about a lot, or you get married, right? So
Yeah, so you just live with your parents until someone comes along, and then you start your own life. And
But it
what could
seems-
go wrong at
it-
18 with no money, no education, and, you know?
I mean, that's what their parents did. So, I that's just, I'm sure some people are out of this like cycle, but it's definitely a cycle perpetuated by like in like cattiness and like just
For sure.
not letting people live their lives.
I mean, if Nettie is your mom, then yeah, this is like normal, this kind of
Yeah,
intense drama.
that's true. Maybe the fight is because Melly really wanted that spin-off. She was really trying to get
She got it, right?
the high
'Cause this
drama.
is season 1.
Yeah, she definitely got it.
Mm-hmm.
And Diamond just, went along with it. Anything anyone else really needs to talk about here before we get to questions? So we got an interesting one this week. Who's the worst human being?
Ooh, I want to say Nettie, but dang, she's still like defending. Like she knows something's up. She's a real fucking asshole.
I don't know. Like anyone that tried to prevent this wedding doesn't make them an asshole.
Mm-mm.
I don't.
Yeah.
I think Melly.
Yeah, I got to give it to
Melly.
Melly. She came to that wedding knowing what she was going to do.
That's
And she
fair.
didn't do anything to actually try to stop the wedding. She just like tried to. She's like, I'm gonna fight you. I'm
Yeah,
gonna
she
fight-"
sat
like, it
through
was
the
all
whole
intimidation.
ceremony, just listening, making like side comments.
I think you're right. I think that makes a lot of sense. I'll go with that.
Although, to be honest, Alyssa wasn't like stellar either.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of candidates.
I mean, the way she was talking to her mom. Ooh.
Who's taking care of her disabled son?
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Yeah, I'd say it's a close number 2 with Alyssa.
What about Heath, like, just tanning with his, like, sister right there? Like, has a tanning boot on, sister's right there, like, in
Yeah.
the same room.
But he did go out and try to make a living.
But we
He
don't know
didn't
what
try
he,
to make a living. He
but
just
we-
did a job.
we also
For
don't
the
know what
TV.
he came out of jail for.
I know that would be
Yeah.
really interesting.
I tried to look him up. Does not exist
No.
on the internet.
Well, he could have
Shocker.
been like a juvenile.
No, I just meant like any updates on this
Oh,
guy just
nothing?
didn't exist. Like, I don't know. I was trying to figure out who these two got married to, and like, unclear at this point what either of these two updates are, Heath or Alyssa. But I was trying to figure it out. So let's talk about the host. Did anyone look up who the host actually, the narrator was?
No, but I feel like that voice. Like, do you think they do multiple TLC shows?
I'm sure we should probably.
It sounded familiar.
Yeah.
Should probably look that up.
Yeah, but he did have some banger quotes. Like, Alyssa's also concerned about being assaulted at the altar.
I wrote that one down too. That was a good one.
Yeah, that is a good one. Anyone else got any good quotes from the narrator?
No, I just loved her deadpan, like, narration, I guess. It was just, like, with all the craziness that was going on, she was just, like, this calming presence that would swoop in and just say, like...
She just take you from one scene to the next and give you the context you needed. Like, let's mute it and talk about cops are muskers.
Yeah.
As she's screaming, I'm calling the muskers.
Oh yeah, didn't they explain in the beginning that Romneys are like really afraid of the cops, the muskers?
Yeah.
And had to give us some context there.
Yeah,
What?
for sure. I mean...
Oh, what about, guys, we missed the whole section on don't touch the broom.
That was at the beginning. You can't remember everything.
So
basically, if you touch the broom, the cops are going to get you.
Some superstition, I think.
Yeah, it was strange. But
And so
narrator had to explain that to us.
Yeah, so Heath was running out of the house. They didn't need to show the scene, but like Heath was running out of the house as her like, was it Alyssa or was it?
I think it was Alyssa
Alyssa
chasing
was-
him with the broom.
Yeah, because they were like, only the women do the house chores and the men have free time to like play video games. It seemed, and they were like, then there was this whole broom thing. Let's see. Let's go to our next question.
Wait,
I think Brian had something.
Oh, go
Breaking
ahead.
yeah,
news.
I found out who the narrator is, Ellen Kay. And she's just in a lot of random stuff. Like, she was in Doogie Howser.
Okay, so this is definitely not an Apex.
No.
Okay, just to be clear, it seemed like the ratings for season 1 were like 1.58, which is pretty big, like today's standards. But I don't know.
That was
like,
before, like, streaming, right?
Yeah.
So you...
2012. That's probably mediocre at best. I don't know what the other seasons were, and I don't feel like looking them up. So let's move on to drinking rules. So here we have drinking rules, and I think anytime you get a quip from our narrator, take a drink. Brian, you got a drinking rule for us?
I'm trying to think of one that involves the size of the dress. Because there's going to be a dress every episode.
Maybe every time they try to squeeze a dress through a doorway.
Ooh, I
Yeah.
like where your
That could
head's
be
at. Maybe anytime there's like a gypsy word you don't know, or
yeah,
like
Like
is
muskers.
yeah, like you would just like is a gypsy word. I keep saying gypsy, and I don't mean any offense by that. FYI, I'm sorry.
That's how they, present it in the show for sure.
Yeah. So anytime there's like a weird word that you don't know, take a drink, or wouldn't use in your daily life. So every time they say muskers, take a drink.
I'm going to start using it, though.
Then if you claim the word as your own, and I hear you use it, you can get out of it.
Are fights prevalent in the series?
Oh
Catherine?
yeah, at pretty much every. I mean, not every, but most events.
Are these like the Dothraki? If there's not a fight, it's not a good event.
Yeah, I would say so. Because I mean, it's inevitably someone disapproves of something that's happening at one of these events, and so
It just becomes a
It's gonna happen.
staple of the show. So then the producers have to like get people to like
Rile
do it
them up
more
a
and more.
bit.
Yeah.
So do we need a drinking rule around?
Yeah, I mean,
fights?
Yeah.
drink while they're fighting.
mm-hmm.
I think that's a good one. Do we have any others?
Drink every time you see a tattoo. There were a lot of tattoos.
Every different tattoo, or anytime you see the same tattoo?
Oh, my favorite was the groomsman that had the lips tattooed on his chest.
Oh, that was
Great.
a good one.
Do you think that those were somebody's lips?
Yes.
100%.
Were they Pookie's lips?
I don't know.
I don't think it was Nuki. Oh, what's her
Nuki.
name? Nuki.
Nuki.
You
No.
could take a shot for every button that the groomsmen failed to button on their tuck shirt.
Oh man, I don't know if
That'd
you're gonna
be
make out of
so
that
many.
with 5 shots.
We
No
thought I was
buttons?
trying to kill people.
All right. Would this show be better as a Quibi or a TikTok? If for people that don't remember, Quibi was a 7 to 8 minute streaming service you could only watch on your phone. And I don't think so. I think that this show really moves, and it's really got an energy to it that you couldn't get in a Quibi.
I mean, they definitely added some filler, but those filler ended up being like just crazy, or like you look back and you're, like the whole let's make this girl describe her dream wedding and her dream home and show it to us, and then like nothing. Like you're getting married in a courthouse with no one.
Yeah, it definitely, the production is a little off, especially like toward modern reality show standards. Brian, what do you think?
No, I forgot. Wait, what was the question again?
One thing to say is like we use TikTok in this like equation. I do think that like this show would work well as like a multiple TikToks, like people fighting each other and posting multiple times a day, and like a
Showing their
re-
dress fittings. I mean,
like,
there's a lot that could.
real time TikToks.
create-
Whereas like with Quibi, it would not work as.
See, I got distracted thinking about like the stupid house hunting scene that I was like, I would skip that episode on Quibi.
You're like, I wish I could skip this.
I 100% wanted to skip that.
Okay.
It was the same with like the whole shopping around for the venues. Like both of those were just useless.
It was, but then like when put in the whole context of it, you realize, because if she just showed up and was like, "I'm getting married at the courthouse," you'd be like, "Oh, okay," or "We're staying in this hotel." But then you realize, like, definitely not what she wanted, but they have nothing to get them there.
I mean, the filler here just makes it like sadder because you're like, oh, you're looking at houses, you ain't buying a house. You're looking at venues, you ain't buying a venue. Like you ain't getting a venue. Like it's just like
And most of these weddings that I've seen will take place in like a kind of like a restaurant hall, where they have like a venue, but it's like low ceilings, no windows, but like they just use it for receptions and stuff. So your average gypsy wedding was not going to be at that big like estate overlooking the water with the fountain. Like that was just a pipe dream for anyone.
yeah, that's funny. Yeah, definitely. Who's gonna hook up next?
Pookie and Nuki.
I thought you
already
say
a
Heath and
couple.
Alyssa.
No, that's too obvious.
Too obvious. The people that got married aren't gonna hook up next.
What about
The-
Diamond? Do you think anyone had their eye on Diamond?
What about the slutty mom? That's who Alyssa was,
Oh, yeah.
was spreading rumors about.
I mean, 37. She could still have a few more kids if she wanted to.
I was somewhere online said that
Nettie.
she was like separated for a period of time. So
Oh yeah, there were no males in this whole like father figures.
there's no dads. They're out working.
Might have been working. Yeah.
Oh yeah, she did say her dad couldn't come to the wedding because he was working. Forgot about that.
missed that.
All right, Brian. What do you love about this show?
I love that it was trying to give insight into a culture that that it's definitely misunderstood. And
I'm not sure this is going to help
I
you
know.
understand that culture.
I know, and like this, it's really hurting me because I don't like much about this show. Like,
Okay, okay, Catherine. What do you love about this show?
I like the confidence and pride that they have in their culture. From the outside, it's easy to say this is just like ridiculous, but they're so like proud, and this is what they're gonna do, and they're gonna have the biggest dress with the most bling, and it's very entertaining.
Christina, what about you?
I like the blingy dresses. That's it.
That's it.
That's it. I could do without the rest.
What I love about the show is that I think the people feel genuine. I think that like the situations are all made up, the editing is weird, like what they're doing is off, but like these people do feel genuine to a point. Like they're egged on by producers, but they're like letting themselves get egged on by producers. It's really weird. But yeah, that's what I love about the show.
Yeah.
Brian, have you come to your thoughts on this yet, or we just move on?
I think we should move on.
Okay.
Well, like, okay, so actually, no. I got something that, like, it's actually willing to push the boundaries of reality TV. A lot of stuff is just like, it's very generic, but this is just like going really out there. It is next level. Like, I have not seen another reality show like this.
All right, so let's get into ratings. So we do a stack ranking system where we do top, middle, third buckets of reality shows. So if you think it's in the top bucket, the middle bucket, or the bottom bucket, compared. So Brian, what do you got?
Despite me saying I didn't really have like much good to say about this, like the fact that it circles back on itself from terribleness makes it a little interesting. So I'm putting it in the middle because I might check out another episode.
Catherine?
I would say middle of the middle too. I mean, it's one of those like I'm embarrassed to tell people that I've seen episodes of this show, but it is entertaining, and like you would just when you think it can't get crazier, like it does. So, you know, what more do you want in a reality show to just disconnect and watch something nuts on TV?
Christina, what is your rating here?
Top of the bottom.
Any reasoning?
I just don't think I'd watch another episode. Didn't do it for me.
I'm going to be contrarian here. I think it's top third show. I was entertained.
Ooh.
I think that I probably shouldn't be in the top third, but I watch a lot of this hot garbage, hashtag Netflix. So I'm going to put it in the top. It was entertaining. I was entertained. I smiled. And I don't need to see any more. But at the end of the day, I thought it was a decent show. So before we move on, I want to shout out Noah, our co-host, is getting married this weekend or having a ceremony. So shout out. We're watching a wedding show just for you.
Maybe Beverly's dressmaker is
Sandra Celli.
Sandra
The
Celli.
Sandra
We should
Celli.
have sent her way before this. So now we tend to do shout outs where we shout out other stuff we've been watching, want to recommend. So Brian, you said you had an update about Snowflake Mountain.
Yeah, so I watched a couple other episodes, and it's kind of interesting to see how immediately it flips from like, oh man, these kids are like really spoiled, to yeah, they just didn't really get the opportunity to do this stuff and try it out, because it was like, oh yeah, they like in the episode 1 they had to like skin a deer, or like they were talking about it, and then after they did it, it was like, oh wow, like that was actually kind of cool and like interesting, and it made me value like the food that I have.
Dang.
So
Is this a U.S. show?
It's on
Yeah.
Netflix, yeah.
Huh.
It's about taking like 10 people they considered snowflakes and leaving them with 2 outdoorsman teachers and like saying, hey, you got to live outside. Well, you got to live at like a campsite, and they have an outhouse. They were really grossed about. It was fine.
yeah,
I think we all rated it middle third.
yeah, they just end up like actually dealing with stuff, even though like they're still freaking out about it. It's just it's a little manufactured drama. I don't think they're all that snowflakey.
Shocking. I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Brian. Brian, do you have any other shout outs you want to give?
We got more Taskmaster. Now they're like just a fucking machine.
Oh, we got New Zealand.
Yeah. I got that like notification from TV Time, great TV tracker app, and then check today. Oh, there is an actual episode.
Oh, yeah. Catherine, do you have any shout outs?
I am watching The Staircase on HBO. Have you heard of that one?
No.
I have, yeah. It's about it's like a recreation of
It's weird.
documentary.
Of the documentary, yeah. For this guy, author who is accused of killing his wife in like early 2001. And so they made this big documentary on it, which was interesting. And then they've decided now to do like a drama series on the documentary. but it has Tony Collette, I think, and I forget the guy who plays the husband, but so far so good. I'm only a few episodes in.
Christina, you have any shout outs you want to give?
Yes. Alone. Gotta watch Alone. If you haven't
Alone
seen
is
Alone.
back.
It's back. It's good.
Is
Where's
that the one where they drop him alone?
Yeah, they're
Somewhere.
like trained survivalists that just they drop them off somewhere, usually with grizzly bears or some type of bears.
And like right before
No
winter.
food. Right before winter. And there's no duration, just the longest person out there wins.
You should listen to our episode about that. I like that show a lot.
Yeah. And then just the usual Seeking Sister Wives, Welcome to Plathville, all ones you've done before.
Yeah. All ones I don't think we
Actually,
really liked, but
the other one, if you haven't seen, the Real World New Orleans Reunion, I forget what it's called.
yeah, it's on CBS or Paramount Plus.
So good. Brings you back to the days of Real World OG.
OG Real World.
The whole cast comes back.
That's what I thought was nuts. The whole cast.
And they
goes
live
back.
together again?
Yeah, but I think it's only for like a couple weeks.
Only Murders in the Building is back.
Oh, that came
season
out
2.
quick, didn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that
Season
was
2's
good.
out. Always good to see Steve Martin and what's his face? I'm missing his name. Anyway, Martin Short.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're back. Pretty good. Watch the first 2 episodes. And watching Players on Paramount Plus. Mockumentary using esports. Pretty good. I like that show. And you can find us on Twitter at Who Put This On. And you can rate us. Tell us what you thought about the show in the poll on Twitter. You can find us on Facebook.com/Who Put This On. You can find us on TikTok at Who Put This On Podcast. You can email us questions and suggestions at whoputthison@gmail.com. And we'll see you guys next time.
Okay, but for real though, like when you both were like coming in, I was like, oh, you both sound extremely alike.